How's it going, internets? I hope you're having a lovely day. It's that time again. It's time to get into some animation, time to get that imagination all revved up, get into some creativity. It's time to get inspired. And today's inspiration comes from Earl Norem. And if you're not familiar with his work, check right over here. Ever seen anything about basically He-Man and the Masters of the Universe? A fan of Conan and the great sword and sorcery stuff done by Marvel? If you're a fan of any of that stuff, you are going to know his work. You're going to love his work. I'm a huge fan. I think he is just iconic. Really kind of brought some of the wonderful works of Frazetta to, the Transformers, to He-Man, to Conan, and all that stuff, and he brought that and made it kind of accessible to kids or teenagers or a wider variety than was there before. Really, if you kind of grew up in the 80s or 90s, you probably have at least seen something from his work. So let's take a look. I don't think enough can be said for how great he is. A great sense of composition, of layout, of anatomy, of color, a really vivid imagination. I mean, just check those out. Like I said, I still think Frazetta's way up there, but I really, Earl Norem has some phenomenal work. His body of work is pretty close to second to none there. Look at this composition and this layout. It's so great. I love his choice of color, his posing, the way that he set this piece up. It's just so much thought has to have gone into this. He's got really, he kind of borders the main characters and brings them, sets them right in the forefront here, but he uses, the perspectives and the angles and the characters all to really focus your eye right into this one spot right here. I'd love to see kind of a process video from him of how many different thumbnails, or if he just has the idea in his head and just blows it right out. Because something like this, you have to lay out each and every one of the characters to really help focus everything in together. Just a wonderful sense of composition and layout. Beautiful work. I think this was, I usually try to spend a little bit of time researching people and finding new quotes and everything, and finding pieces of art. And for Earl Norem, I definitely was lost in how many different pieces that I thought were just super iconic. I mean, if you grew up anywhere in the mid 80s or early 90s, this kind of art right here just was like, oh yeah, this is great. I don't know, just so iconic. Really love his work. This piece right here, I thought it was one of my favorites for sure. It's just he brings so much of the, especially to he worked with a lot of Conan stuff early on, and then he went on to He-Man, and He-Man is just like bright and happy Conan kind of. I really love that stuff. I think the spider character is so wonderful. But I'm gushing. I'm sure we need to get into some animation. I can spend hours and hours just checking out these pieces and studying each and every piece. I love this stuff, man. Love it. So I urge you guys to check out more stuff from him. I don't think he gets nearly enough credit for the wonderful work that he does. But I did want to share a quote that I was able to find from him. And unfortunately, there's really not a whole lot of interviews that are available that I could come across, and I kind of exhausted a lot of resource areas and places that I usually can find something from. And I was able to find this one, and it's attributed to a letter that he sent to someone. It was just the end of it, and kind of he said thank you for everything. But at the end of it, he said, thanks so much for admiring this stuff and this work that I created. That I had so much fun producing, and then signed his signature on there. But I thought that one little snippet of "I had so much fun producing" is something that I think sometimes you can get lost in the element of fun in being creative, because you get lost in all the fundamentals and the rules, and the time limit that you have to create something in, and the deadlines, and is it working? Is the anatomy on? Is the perspective on? Is all the stuff that's going on through your head? And sometimes, every once in a while, you start losing your vision of fun, of what really brought you into a medium. And I think it's important to remember that aspect and to take time. I know I'm working on a couple books right now, so every day at least set aside an hour or so to work on that. And for me, that's a wonderful time that I get to spend and just be creative and have fun. And that, without that, I think it could really get, working on different projects all the time could get to lose that motivation and the spirit of fun that I think is important to reflect on, and to try to remember why you got into it and how you got into it and the things you love about it and all that stuff. So that being said, let's go ahead and get into some animation for today. I'm getting rambly, so we need to get animating. This is the Jagged Vision rig. It's part of the collection of the Dota 2 rigs that are available through the Steam community. I will throw a link in the description below, along to more stuff on Earl Norem if you guys want to check out his amazing work. Today's going to be kind of a little bit different. Not exactly sure how we're going to approach this one, but I think we're going to do kind of like a little bit of an idle animation. So we'll see. We'll kind of just see where it takes us. I want to kind of break out and try, different things that might not be the same kind of feel that we do all the time. I know I need to do, some people have been wanting me to do some more fighting shots and some more lip sync shots, and that's on my list of things to do. Just gotta come up with, I try to, with walks and runs and all those kind of action shots, there's not a lot of story or feeling or acting beats behind them, so we can kind of just play through them. But with that kind of stuff, I want to present some. I've got a couple other shots that I need to get around to uploading and stuff too, that maybe that'll help too. But again, we're so rambly today. So if you're not familiar with what we'll be doing for the rest of the video, I go off and I find a rig that I've never used before. It's a free resource for you guys to play around with as well, and we kind of go from there. A little bit of talking through the process, a little bit of just over the shoulder, hang out with me while I animate. But most of all, the main goal of doing these videos each and every day is to hopefully encourage you guys and inspire you to go off and create your own stuff. Use your own imagination, use your creativity, make something awesome today. And you're not alone in your art day. All those things that you're struggling with, someone else is doing it too. I hope you don't feel alone. I hope doing these daily videos each and every day, makes you feel like you got a buddy out there who's fighting, who's having failures. Some of the videos that I end up doing, I just end up, I want to just delete them. But I think it's important to show when things work and when things don't. So let's go ahead and get into some animation. I think before I go any further, I want to create a little base here, so we really have like a grid. So it's kind of like it's sword in the stone-ish. Let's pull it out a little bit more and fit it in here. Now, unfortunately, I'm not a Dota 2 player, so I think that has probably its advantages and its disadvantages, because I don't really have a pre-existing notion of what this kind of stuff should be or is. So I think that probably plays in some regards negatively, because then I would have some idea of what someone has gone before and done, but at the same time I think it allows me to try stuff that maybe other people haven't done. I don't know, like I said, I don't play these days. I don't have time to ever play anything anymore, but that's okay. Let's bring that down. We gotta make sacrifices for something. Okay, so start off there, a little bit there. And now what are these things? Are these anything? This could be interesting to play around with as well. Okay. Let's create another polygon primitives. Let's create another cube here as well. Let's try and center that a little bit more. And bring that down. And we'll copy that. Paste another one there. I'll make that one a little like I said, I don't. The thing that I kind of like about doing, or one of the aspects of doing these videos that I do like is kind of lets me play around and improvise versus something that I do for like a shot for a client or a shot on my reel or something like that. With this kind of stuff, I tend to not go in with too much planning, maybe a rough idea of something that I want to do, and then just play with that, which sometimes can be to the shot's detriment, and other times I think it's really fun. So let's start with those guys. Placed it there. So we kind of have a little, I don't know if it's like an altar or what we would call it, but something a little bit like that. And let's shorten these guys up a little bit more. Okay, so something like that. I think these swords, even though this is their default starting spot, are a little bit more favored that way, but I'll leave them for now. And let's go ahead and bring these guys. And this is going to be pretty much a practice, I'm pretty sure, with parenting and locators. Is there a reason we can't grab this one? There we go. Bring that goes over here. Drop them down a little bit. Okay. And then we'll grab all of these ones. I'm not sure if I'm going to even use these, but if we want to, go ahead and put them all the way back there. Okay, so we got a rough starting point for where we're going to go with this thing. Again, I do feel like I just need to nudge this over a little bit more. Just feels like it wasn't as balanced as it should be. Maybe I'll leave it. Push that over a little bit. Push that over a little bit. Not perfect, but we'll start somewhere. So let's go ahead and set our frame range. Probably end up doing about 100 frames on this one. We'll see. And we'll get started. So let's grab everything, make sure we just have our nerve curves, nerve surfaces, and polygons selected. Go to frame 0 and set our first key. So how should we start this? Let's start by doing this one. Go a little bit that way, a little bit this way. Let's see. Let's cut that by a lot. Window, animation editors, graph editor. Want it to be real slow at the beginning, just a couple slow little moves. A little bit more here. Maybe one more here. And then we'll do some quick moves. Let's see it now. And then we'll have it, we'll set it here, and then we'll shoot it up in the air. So let's see. We'll do a full spin around there. Let's go, it's going to be a lot longer, I guess, so let's go 300 frames for now. And we'll go full 360 degrees. Let's see. And we'll do a little bit more up and down. See it now. Alright. I'll do a little bit more up and down. We'll keep it spinning here. this too tight with my timing. It's pretty loose for right now, but we'll see. If I end up wanting to do tight timing, that's fine, but I don't think I really want to. So let's see. So 100 to, what's that, 112, that's 12 frames, so maybe we'll go 20 frames here, and 20 frames there. Just seem like this is a little slow, and 20 frames there, and 20 frames there. 20 frames from that would be this one. And again, if we want to change this, we can. We're just kind of doing a rough couple of passes here before we really start playing. Yeah, 72, put another one, and 92. I'll kind of leave it for now like that. So let's see how it is. Maybe a little bit more movement. And let's just keep that rotation spinning to, let's see. That'd be 1080. Yeah, let's make that a little more constant here. Yeah, let's see how I like that. Needs to be faster. Let's take a couple steps back. And 1080, what's another 360 on top of that? 1440, right? So can you keep kind of the speed there? Let's see that now. Yeah, let's make those quick little moves a little bit faster. So let's see it now. I want to shorten them all by a frame if I can. Well, of course we can. Just see if it looks right or not. So let's see. It's like it'll translate Y. Have it overshoot a little bit more. And let's do a little bit more up and down throughout the rest of it as well. Okay, let's look at this top portion. I'll key it there, 84. Go down a little bit here. I'll key it up. And key it here. And then we'll do 20 frames on this, but we'll offset it a few frames as well. 32, we'd have 52, 72, let's see how that feels so we can get a little bit of. And we'll want to switch it to be on 22, should be our key. So let's grab all of these here. I think we're going to want it to be like this. Let's see. Exaggerate that a little bit more. Maybe we'll have it go other way around, right? Yeah. But maybe we need to exaggerate it more. Let's see. Okay, now that's too much, so we can scale it back. Still feels too high. Still want it to stay like attached. So let's see. And let's see this part. Let's have it rotate to what about 1440 plus 360 is what? 1800? Yeah. Keep it at 0 here. Let's look at it now. Okay, and let's make that a little more consistent so it's not really easing in and easing out. We can let it have a little bit of movement there. Alright, kind of works. Should we go a little bit longer before we pound it back down there? Yeah, I think that's long enough. And then we'll go, give ourselves another, 3 seconds, 4 seconds. So let's just go 500 frames for now. So we'll go here, go lift it up, and then slam it back down to 0. Let's see. Alright. Maybe push that sooner here. Too slow. Let's see. Still feels like it takes too long, so let's cut frame out of both sides there. Let's see. extraneous frames, we don't need those. Let's see. Maybe we'll let the rotates go until there. And same with this one. Keep that. And delete that one. It's kind of like a little bit of rotation as it's planting back in there. So let's go ahead and look at that now. This, I still think I want to polish up the translate Y a little bit more. Set that so you have a little bit of overshoot. Recoil there. So let's just take a look at this. From 270 to what, 320, so we can frame it in a little bit more. I think I want to favor it being up a little bit higher still. More keys here, 3, give me 4 frames, keep that, and keep that, and still have just a little bit more recoil. Let's see. No, I think I just want one little recoil instead of the 2. Feels a little more solid there. Let's look at the top here. We'll go a little bit down there. A little bit of drag there. Go down there. Up there. Down there. There. And make sure we go back to where we zeroed it out. And let's clean that up a little bit more. Let's see how I like that now. We need to exaggerate this a little bit more. Maybe give me a little bit more time to do a little more recoil just at the top. 0. See if we like that better. This last part takes too long, so let's cut it a couple of frames. Let's see. Yeah, let's push everything forward a frame. Feels like it's a little delayed. should still be 4 frame. Let's see. Yeah, let's do the same here. We'll drag. Key it there. Go ahead and lift it up a little bit there. Go down a little bit. Up a little bit. Go down a little bit. Zero it out. Let's see if we like that. And again, we don't need a lot of that, but just so we get a little bit. Drag. Go down here. Delay it a little bit more. That should be sooner. Should be even faster than that, maybe. This one should be a little bit more. Yeah, we'll just tone them all down a little bit. It's alright. I think it might still be a little over the top. Just want a little bit of looseness there. There we go. And this should go back to about just about what we look like when we start, right? So I think that'll be our frame range. We'll stick with that because I want to do other stuff here, so I'll make it a shorter scene. Just thinking about, so right. Let's watch that again. I think we skipped a couple frames there. Alright, yeah, that works overall for that part here. Now, I want those to stay there, about 100. Yeah, 140. We'll go ahead and bring them up here. And then I think I'm gonna try something before I do that though. So let's create a locator here. We'll pop it up right into the center there. And we'll create another locator. Push it over and pop it right into the center of the hilt on this one. And then we'll go ahead and go window, outliner, pull that up, show all. And then I'm gonna grab this guy, control click locator 2 and parent that, and then locator 2, control click locator 1 and parent that. And if I do that correctly, that should mean that. And I didn't. Okay, so let's step back. Let's see where we're at. And locator 2, parent those. So now if I grab locator 2, locator 2, grab the sword, control click locator 2, parent those together. Locator 2, set a key there. Actually, leave it for now. And locator 2, control click locator 1, parent those together. So if I go locator 1, this should move that one. Okay. Now locator 1, I want to parent that to this sword and set it there. Locator 1, control click the sword, and parent those together. Alright, so there we go. Okay. Alright, so that's working there, but what I want to do is set a key there. Grab my locator 2, set a key there. Should overwrite it. Take a couple steps back here. And let's see. So locators 2 still moves that. Okay. So set that one. Hold it at 100, bring it up to 120, bring it up there. And then, let's see. Hold on 1 second here. Alright, I figured out what I want to do instead. So, I'm going to create another locator. Where's locator 1? I'm going to set that there. So let's undo what we did here. Figured out a different way to do it, because I was thinking if I parent it to that, then I'd have to turn the parenting on and off on there, when I could rather just parent a locator not connected to that middle sword and then rotate around that one. Okay, so if that doesn't make sense, hopefully it will in a little bit as we get there. So right now, there's still nothing on there. Okay, so locator 1 is right there, but it's not parented to anything. Locator 2 still parented to the sword. So I want to control click locator 1, parent those together. Okay, so locator 1 stays there, and then we'll raise it up at 140. Make sure I'm grabbing the right controller. Locator 1 stays there at 140. I'll go ahead and raise it up here. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and rotate it around to 360 degrees. Let's see it now. And maybe we'll go to 260. We'll do, what, 1080? So it'll spin around a couple of times, right? So let's see. And once it hits here, set it there. Set it there. And we'll raise it up. And we'll slam it down to 0. Maybe not 0. Or was it at the beginning? 69.639 or 69.396, I think it was. Is that what I said? 95. Okay. Let's go look at that. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. Took a little thinking of how would be the best way to approach that, but I think that'll. And still think it takes too long to get there, so let's put a 1 frame sooner. And then we'll do a little bit of up and a little bit of down on there, so it's got a little bit of recoil there as well. Again, we want that to end up being the right frame so that it'll loop correctly. Yeah, let's see how that feels. I think it pops up a little too much, so let's tone it down just a little bit. Alright, now let's look at the other sword here, and we'll create another locator here, and we'll pop it into the middle of the hilt on this one, and we'll grab the sword and our outliner, and we'll control click those and parent those together, so if we grab locator 3, that'll move the sword. And then we want to create another locator. And we'll pop this one right into the middle there. And then we'll grab locator 3, control click locator 4, parent those together. Now we'll set what we have there. And then at 154, I'll go ahead and raise that one up here. Let's keep it down until about 130 because I don't want these guys to intersect here. Let's bring it up to about 146. And let's go about 1080 degrees there. Let's see it now. Gonna have to go a little bit less, so what would that be? 720. I don't want them to intersect. Gonna get close though. Few frames sooner. Oh god, we'll raise it up here. We'll bring it down to where do we start at? 68.409. So 68.409. Bring that there. So it'll kind of be needs to be quicker. Bring that a few frames sooner. Let's see. takes a little too long. Let's try it now. Let's see again. Feels like it needs to pop up more and go down a little bit less. So let's try that. Okay, let's look at it again. See how we're doing. And then I think with this one, instead of going straight up, let's look at our rotate. And let's let it start a couple of frames before that. Hopefully we still don't intersect here. Maybe we'll let it start almost as soon as it lifts off here. Okay, so let's see, just so it has a little bit of different variation there. Okay, and I think while I'm here, actually, I want to grab the other locator here, so locator 1. And what do I have from 140 to 260, so let's go every 20 frames. We'll just do a little bit of up and down here. Keep that, keep that, keep that. We can just have a little bit of variation there. Maybe not as much down, just a little bit, and a little more up, maybe. Alright, and let's look at, what's that, locator 4? And we've got from 146 to 153. We'll push that over so it's 143. It'll be a little bit better, a little bit easier to manage, so maybe we'll do that. Still trying to make sure that they don't intersect with each other. And then 63, we'll throw a little bit up. 83, throw that. 203, 223, 243, 253. Off by a few frames, but that's alright. We'll go ahead and keep that for what it is right now. Move it over a few frames. Doesn't have to be perfect, but just so you have a little bit of it in there. Now on this one, is that intersecting through there? A little bit, isn't it? So we're gonna have to look at the translate. Oh shoot. At least they're not intersecting. We can still keep our same idea, but it's pretty close. Let's watch that again. I want it to be further. Alright, that works. Okay, and then let's look at these guys. Let's just, I'm not going to have them pivot around there. We'll have them lift up here. So we'll set them there. Translate them up here. Right around 245. 240 will go there. 245 will have them lift up. We'll go back into where they started at 248. And every 10 frames, these ones will go up and down a little bit. Let's see now. Alright, let's balance those up and downs a little bit more. Let's overshoot that first one a little bit more. So key it there, overshoot. Delete that one. Let's see how we like that now. It's alright, but it's just too much. So let's do about half of the up and down that we have there. Give me one more frame to get up there. Let's try it now. And then we'll go a little bit up and then back. So we have that little bit of recoil there. And it does feel like it's a little slow, so I'll cut it by a frame. Let's see that now. Watch it all together as a whole, see if it's still... I think it's just too fast. So let's cut out one loop there. Let's see. frames instead of 10 frame system. I want 90 and 95 or 205 and 220. Just felt a little too fast. That feels better. And then I think on these guys, what we are going to do is go rotate them 720 degrees this way. Just how that go though, starting from here. Should hit 7 and 20 right there. Let's try it now. Looks like it's spin themselves. All the recoil on this main one though feels a little too slow. So let's start off here. Cut a frame out of every part of it a little bit more. And then we're going to want to cut a frame out of this one. Just wanted to hit a little bit harder. Let's see now. And this one we're going to have to cut a frame as well. This last little bit needs to not last for so long. Should stop at about 315. Just kind of rotate here though. Should be 1800. There we go. Gotta be able to get in there. Why are we having this overshoot here? There we go. This one still feels a little off. this point, let's go ahead and bring these guys up. So 170. Keep them up till about 272. Keep them flat there, and we'll mix these ones up a little bit more too. So we'll go ahead and raise those up. Keep them up to there. Actually, I want to push it back till it's about here. Maybe one frame later. So those shoot down, pop, 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 pop. Yeah, should be about right. Leave them up higher. I'll really have them drop. What do we got here? So we've got 278 and 88. We can have them slowly get up there. And every 20 frames, have them go up, down, up, down, back. Let's see how that feels. Alright, doesn't feel too bad. I think we can do a little bit less movement on there. Let's see. I do feel like this could go up a little bit higher. And then I want to have the outside ones forward a frame. This one delayed a frame. This one delayed a frame. So there's a little bit of variation there. Alright, and let's vary some of the heights of the stuff a little bit more. Just so there's a little more variety throughout everything. And these guys we're gonna exaggerate a bit more. Yeah, let's see it now. Okay, and then let's look at this back row. Guys, we're going to kind of have the same or similar timing with these guys that we do the front rocks here. Not exact though. So we'll have them set there. Set there. We'll go up here. 208, 228 go down, 248 go up, 268 go down, 280 go up. Let's see. Right. And let's push that forward a few frames. And we'll take the inner 3, or inner 2, and we'll push those forward a couple of frames and make them go a little bit higher. Let's see. And we'll take these 2 over here, and they'll hit their highest point about there. I'll give it one more frame to land down there. Let's see. And then these guys, they take too long to fall. So let's keep them up higher a little bit longer. And bring that up a little bit more. Okay. And let's take these outside ones and let's just exaggerate them a little bit more. These ones, and we'll minimize them a little bit more. And this one, exaggerate it, just so I get a little bit of variation here. Let's see. And let's group all of those guys. We'll add a little bit works. I think I might spin those rocks though too, just to add a little bit more. I think the ones in the front are a little too high. So I'll universally push them down a little bit lower. So let's see. And then we'll grab these two. We'll rotate them 360 degrees. And we'll rotate 360 degrees here. These two. Rotate them minus 360 degrees and minus 360 degrees, just so we get some movement in there. We want to land them in the same spot so that it'll cycle correctly. Okay, let's look at the back ones here. And again, make sure we key all of those there. And key them all here. And then we'll rotate them minus 360 degrees that way, 360 degrees that way. And then we'll get the middle two. Make sure I set them there. And set them there. And then here we want to rotate them minus 360 degrees and 360 degrees. Let's see. Alright, and then the middle two. Again, we'll make sure we lock them in there. And there. Right here we'll do 360 degrees and minus 360 degrees. So that way everything's kind of spinning and rotating and floating there. Okay, so let's take a look at overall and how this feels. Turn our curves off and let's see. Yeah, I think that works all right. Now, one thing I still don't like is just where that passes. So maybe, let's look at our nerve curves. This is locator 1, I think. So translate Y. I think I'll want it to be a little bit higher here, just so it passes a little bit more upward there. Just almost felt like So let's take a look back at where we started. I think this one turned out all right. We were looking at the beautiful work of Earl Norem, and he said, I had so much fun producing. And I think it's great to always remember that there is fun in whatever thing that you're passionate about, and to try to find those things that you loved when you first started getting into that path, or your first steps of your journey, because sometimes along the way it's hard to remember when and why you started and where you're going, and just be reminded of that and take each day as a blessing. Push as hard as you can, learn as much as you can, grow as much as you can, and I love you guys lots. I'm getting rambly. This is kind of a longer one, but I had fun doing this one. I think it was kind of a different change of pace here, but overall, I hope you guys learned something, or learned something not to do, or got pushed or motivated or encouraged to go out and create something. And I love you guys lots. Thanks for all the likes and subscribes, and we will see you for some more animation tomorrow.